We all have our favorite video games, and our least favorite video games. But even with our favorite video games, there's certain levels, or even parts, that we don't like as much, or even outright hate. The Water Temple in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is the best example. On the other hand, in our least favorite video games, there could be parts or levels that we could tolerate, or even like. The naval battles in Assassin's Creed 3 is the best example for that. As such, I say it's time that we look at each individual level and see if they're just as good or bad as the games they come from. Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, I welcome you to Level Complete. Earthbound has been my favorite game ever since it came out in North America when I was 5 years old. And every year since then, I've played this game without fail. I even made and did a Nuzlocke challenge for it just last year. Yet, the only level that seemed out of place for me was the Stonehenge Base. This part of the game starts when you make it through the swamp called Deep Darkness, and arrive at a cave with little green men living in it called Tenda Village. Immediately you find out that nearly the entire population is shy, and the only one who isn't shy tells you about a strange place filled with dinosaurs called the Lost Underworld, aka your next destination. Unfortunately, the hole that brings you there is blocked by a big rock, and the only Tenda strong enough to lift it is too shy. To be fair, if 4 teenagers with a bat, a frying pan, a couple of bottle rockets, and a laser gun, and one of them knows karate, came into your town, I'm pretty sure some of you would clam up too. Anyway, with nothing able to be done, you leave the village only to get a call from the Apple Kid, your not-as-cool friend who makes new inventions that sound totally lame but are somehow crucial to the plot. Pencil-shaped statue blocking your way? He makes an eraser that erases pencil-shaped objects. Dealing with a town full of zombies? He makes flypaper that attracts and traps zombies. Paula kidnapped by the most powerful man in Forsyth? He makes a yogurt dispenser that only makes trout-flavored yogurt, which just so happens to be what the maid of said powerful man was looking for, granting you access to the skyscraper Paula was being held at. Is Apple Kid spying on us? This time, however, the Apple Kid says he's made a super cool new invention and that he's currently in winter seeking Dr. Andonuts. But before he tells you what it is, he gets kidnapped. For once, it's not Paula. After that phone call, you get another one from Apple Kid's neighbor, the Orange Kid, who proceeds to ask you if you have heard from Apple Kid, mainly because he wants to borrow the book called Overcoming Shyness from him. You know, just in case your friend being kidnapped wasn't motivating enough for you. So you teleport to Winters and find out Jeff's friend Tony is missing? Jesus Christ! We were heading there anyway! How much more motivation does one— What? Sebastian of the Tessie Watching Club is also missing! Now I'm pissed. As you go through Winters, you probably notice that instead of the runaway dogs, spiteful crows, and the gruff goats, you got aliens and robots. The worst of this bunch is the Lesser Mooks. They can use PSI and diamondize your characters. Best go after them first. The only robot that could possibly give you any trouble is the Atomic Power Robot. Prepare to see a lot of these guys. Gygas apparently made it standard to have a squad of Atomic Power Robots, and their powered-up version, the Nuclear Reactor Robot, at every base and every invasion squad. These guys are the medics for the enemy team, and they can fully recover all damage done to one enemy. To make matters worse, when you defeat them, they explode, causing massive damage to your own party, forcing you to finish them off last. They really are a big middle finger from Gygas.
Here's what I think of you heroes.
Once you make it to the lab, you find that Dr. Andonuts is also missing because Gygas hates Jeff for some reason. So you talk to the Apple Kid's pet mouse, who tells you that he and the Apple Kid were taken to Stonehenge. He then gives you the Apple Kid's newest invention. The eraser? Why would he make such a device? It's not like we encountered—
Oh, come on! Are you serious? How
How does he keep doing this?
I'm on to you, Apple Kid.
Whether you got curious and entered the hole in the middle of Stonehenge as Jeff way back near the start of the game, or this is your first time here, there is one thing you will notice right off the bat. This ear-splitting music. I feel like something is trying to probe my brain. If it weren't for the battles playing a different song, I'd probably go mad. Despite it annoying me, the song isn't actually that bad, and it fits the location quite nicely. This is what I would think an alien base would sound like. That being said, it may fit the setting, but not the situation. Remember, we're here to rescue our friends that were abducted by aliens, and this music doesn't exactly bestow confidence. Instead, I'd rather rip off my ears than constantly listen to this. Don't even think about it, it was a figure of speech. Not all of you would agree with me on the music, but I'm sure we can agree that the overall look of the level is near perfect. The first half of the level is a cave with a tiny maze within, and I use the term maze loosely here, as there are only 1 or 2 times you could possibly get turned around, but it's otherwise a straight path. Also, the cave floor is purple. Why is it purple? I don't know, but it's awesome. The second half is the base itself, which reminds me of Belch's base back near Saturn Valley. However, these 2 halves fit so perfectly together that it actually feels like you're infiltrating a hidden base. Though like I said, it's near perfect. I do have my issues with it. The cave half is a little too linear for my liking. As mentioned before, there was an attempt at making a maze, but it just gets you turned around once or twice. Other than that, you either find a dead end, usually with an item, or you find the correct path. My main issue is how cramped the paths are. Yes, this is a cave, yes, it fits the overall aesthetic of the level, but if you're going to cram this many enemies into one section, give us the room to breathe. The enemies here are trying to stop you, or at least slow you down, but oftentimes you get fed up and bored with how many battles you get into here. Speaking of which, most of the enemies here are nothing special either, just color palette swaps of previous enemies. The atomic power robots are here because obs. You have Mook Seniors, which are a more powerful version of lesser Mooks, and Octobots are here as well, just to steal your hard-earned stuff. But the most interesting enemy here is the Star Man. There are actually 3 versions of Star Man in this level. One is the boss, which I covered during my Gamers in Need video on Earthbound bosses. One is just your average Star Man, which is just a super powered up version of the Star Man Jr. at the start of the game. And the other is the Star Man Super. Not including the boss, the Star Man Super will be the most powerful Star Man you will encounter for quite some time. They are usually found teamed up with the Star Man and are rarely alone. However, you want to hunt these guys because they drop Pooh's weapon, the Sword of Kings. The only problem with this is you only have a 1 out of 128 chance of getting the sword. Yeah, it's that hard. Oftentimes you'll get every character to level 90 or higher by the time you get it, and by that point it's not needed. My recommendation is to save at Andonut's lab, then grind for the sword. If your characters get too high a level, reset back to your save and try again. However, this is also a great way to level up a character or two if you feel you are underleveled. The second half of the level is a little bit better than the first. Yes, it is cramped, but you do have a little more room to breathe than you did in the first half. Plus, it's not as confusing. Yet, if you are like me and want to be as healed as you can be for the boss, there are plenty of areas here where you can back away and return to have less or no enemies in the area. I find the Star Man easy to sneak up on too, which gives you a free chance to run away, giving you temporarily invisibility. As you continue through the base, if you are not happy with the state of your characters by the time you get through, there is a group of exit mice that you can get in order to warp back to the entrance to fully heal yourself at Andonut's lab free of charge. Did I say free? I meant you could get fully healed for the low price of going back through the entire level again. After another small winding passage, you will end up in the captive's room. Here you will find not only Tony, Sebastian, Dr. Andonuts, and the Apple Kid, but you will also find a hippie, a Mr. T wannabe, and a Mr. Saturn. I absolutely love this. Not only do these captives have an emotional connection with the characters, Jeff more so than the others, but some of them even have an emotional attachment to you as the player. Most of these characters, apart from the hippie, the Mr. T wannabe, and Sebastian, helped you during your journey in some way. Tony helped Jeff over the gate, which started his journey. Dr. Andonuts gave Jeff the Skyrunner, which was used to not only bring Jeff to Ness and Paula so he could save them, but it also got the group to Summers. The Apple Kid is suspicious as fuck. The Mr. Saturn, will help later on. Either way, when you go through the next door, you will find the boss, the Star Man Deluxe. As mentioned previously, I already talked about the Star Man Deluxe in my Gamers in Need video about every Earthbound boss, and my strategy for this boss still applies. Have Paula use PSI Shield and defeat any allies he calls for as soon as possible. Or just use a single multi-bottle rocket. You do have them at your disposal. After the boss is defeated, the whole base shuts down and the captives are free. Talking to the Apple Kid reveals that he already returned the Book of Overcoming Shyness to the Onett library. Because in the end, it was all about saving lives, not getting an important item that continues the plot. This level is like one big enigma. It feels like it was placed just to make the game longer, or maybe to give you a dungeon to go through just to get the Book of Overcoming Shyness, but at the same time, it feels right. Earthbound got a universal rating of 8 out of 10. I feel that the Stonehenge Base gets a 7 out of 10. Let's be honest, Earthbound would still be well loved and would still be an awesome game with an awesome story, even without the Stonehenge Base level. However, the whole game is about gathering enough power to vanquish the alien Gygas, and storming this base and rescuing those people shows Gygas that you are coming for him and you will not back down. My only problem with this level is I feel like it would be better placed at the end of the game, just before you travel back to the past to confront Gygas himself. The Apple Kid could have just gave you the book via the Pizza Man, or how about skipping the book altogether and invent something that gets rid of shyness? I mean, come on, Apple Kid! You invented something that stopped in zombie invasion. You technically prevented the zombie apocalypse before it even happened. I'm sure you inventing something to get rid of shyness would have been easy. And why did you even need the book anyway? You asked Ness when you first seen him, a complete stranger, for food and $200. Come to think of it, $200 for a pencil eraser, zombie paper, a yogurt dispenser, and an eraser? It's not a bad deal. Hey, thanks for watching my video all the way to the end. I had put this video off for a while now and made so many changes that I hope you enjoyed it. I plan on making another video like this, so if you want to know when that comes out, then you should smash that subscribe button and maybe give it a like too while you're at it. If you can't wait and want more from me, you should check out the Gamers in Need video I did on Earthbound bosses that I mentioned in this video. It's not great, as it's some of my earlier content, but I hope you enjoy it nonetheless. That is all the time I'm going to take from you. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next level.